One of the biggest keys to success and personal development and growth in any area of life, if with your fat loss, with your body, with business, relationships, friendship, mindset, career, and everything in between, is having great self-awareness. And this is also a trait that so many people don't have. And it's the biggest thing in life that holds them back because it builds into the behavior that I just discussed. If you think that you can't run a marathon in 8 hours, as many people did on the challenge, but you try to run a marathon in 8 hours and you have this self-awareness that I might not hit that goal, but I'm going to do my best. And 100 times out of 100, doing your best towards any goal is a 100% win. Does that make sense? Because if you've done your best, you've done better than you ever did before. You showed up, you gave it your all. Nobody can do more than that. So don't not show up and give it your all because you have this thing where you think you might not succeed. Well, you will succeed because you've done your best. And if you've done your best, you've done better than you've ever done before. And if you've done better than you've ever done before, that's the biggest win in the world. It's not about hitting the target. It's about you against you and being better than yesterday. And yes, we have a target to go for. Yes, we have goals. But if we set the goal of running the ultra marathon with the team on the 30th of March in less than 8 hours, and we fall a few miles short, it's still going to be the best effort of your life. And if it's the best effort of your life, it's the biggest win of your life. And then you can accept the lessons and the gifts and then come back and try again, which is exactly what I did and what I'm going to come on to. So self-awareness for me, and this is why so many people find it difficult, because they think not admitting your weaknesses is a cool thing. Bollocks. That's your ego. Everybody has weaknesses. Show no weakness. Well, if you don't understand your weaknesses, how can you improve? There's certain areas where I think it does work, but if you don't understand your weakness, how can you improve? If you're not aware of the behaviors that are letting you down, where can you improve? And this comes down to self-awareness. And success comes down to self-awareness. Being aware of where you can improve, being aware of where you're letting yourself down, being aware of the habits that are holding you back, the habits, the actions, the thoughts, the beliefs that are leading to the outcomes that might not meet the pictures of your life that you want them to. So in order for us to become incredibly self-aware, which is very different to self-judgment, by the way, this is why it gets so confused. Self-judgment and self-awareness are two very, very, very different things. But the reason why people find the self-awareness so hard is because they think admitting your mistakes makes you weak. Drop me a yes on either Facebook or on Zoom or anywhere at all if you've known a whole host of people in their life that no matter how wrong they know they are, will never ever admit they're wrong. I've met hundreds of these people throughout times. I've had people on this plan who flat lie to my face or virtually to my face. Like, I'm not an idiot by any means. And I know for a fact when people are doing the work. And I know for a fact when people aren't doing the work. And what's so bad is that sometimes I've had clients in the past that have left a full-blown trail of destruction down their social media of exactly what they've been doing for the last 4 weeks. But when it comes down to having a discussion about why they're not progressing, they don't want to talk about it because they think being honest makes them weak. You know, how many times have you said this? How many times have I had a client say this, Lee? I just I can't do my photos. I'm so embarrassed about where I've let myself get to. Well, that means you've got poor self-awareness. That means rather than saying, hey, this is me, I'm struggling, this is what I'm struggling with, can I have some help? Let's work as a team and fix this. You're saying, I would rather not discuss any of these problems. I would rather not discuss where I am at. I would rather not discuss my mental health. I would rather not discuss my body weight because it makes me feel weak. When in fact, being that vulnerable and open is actually the biggest strength in the world. There's nothing weak about it. And you cannot develop a growth mindset and move forward until you're willing to say, hey, I messed up. Hey, I'm really bad at this. Can I have some help? Because it builds into this stubbornness that people have, this ego, and it's weird really, because I can see how this has come down. I'm going to go off on a right tangent here, by the way, before I get back on with this training. I can see how this has come down through the years, right? And I've discussed this in regards to the army. So you have to think World War One, World War Two. As men, mostly men then, there were very few women, but as men or women. So we were taught to be fighting animals, to write a kill letter that would be delivered to our loved ones should we get killed in active service, surrounded by egotistical, testosterone-driven men, expected to kill without any emotion at the hint of trouble and show no weakness. And then this then breeds into life further down the line. You don't, who's heard this before? Don't cry in front of your kids. Why not? I'm never going to be afraid to cry in front of Logan. That's saying don't admit when you're sad. But this, especially as men, this has come from generations down. And then the thing that happened was, and this is why so many relationships are screwed up now, because there was very much this hunter-gatherer kind of period, and men went to more war and men worked and women looked after the children, and women did whatever they did. And then all of a sudden, when men were at war, most women leveled up and they're like, hey, I brought these kids up on my own. Hey, I don't need you. Hey, I provide for this family financially. You've been gone for this amount of years. I don't really need you anymore. And then this was what then affected men, because the men come back and they're like, oh, like I'm out of service. Like I'm not needed anymore. I'm surplus to requirements. She doesn't need me financially. She doesn't need me emotionally. And this is where so many of the problems occur, because then men, rather than having the openness to say, do you know what? I need you to need me. This isn't making me feel great. I feel really sad. I feel so. Well, you don't show emotion, boy. You don't show weakness. And this is why there's so many relationships when, people are really not okay. And the partner, male or female, says, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I'll just keep going to work for 18 hours and burying all my pain and not dealing with it, because talking about it makes me weak, makes me less of a man. I've heard that before. It's this whole toxic masculinity thing, isn't it? But until we can understand these weaknesses and these feelings and these emotions and talk about them, well, we can't work on them. And this is why self-awareness is so important. So it takes extreme humility. It takes extreme authenticity, and it takes strength to be vulnerable. We don't have to keep everything in. We have to go, do you know what? I'm so bad at that. How many people just won't admit that they're terrible at something? How many people won't open up and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Can you help me? No, I'd rather just do it myself. I was very much the same when I was younger. I would, like, my granddad would, do you want some help with your homework? No. Well, you're clearly struggling. No, I'm not. I'd rather sit here for 8 hours trying to do this than accept some help and get it done in half an hour, because that help makes me feel weak. Okay. And it shouldn't be that way. And you have to have this awareness to know when to ask it, because it's the only thing that really allows you to self-correct. And if you can't be honest about your weaknesses and the failings and where you're letting yourself down and where you need to improve, well, how can you improve them? Now, the beauty of this is it doesn't stop being self-aware, doesn't stop you from making mistakes. But what it does is it allows you to learn from them. As I've said, there's always a lesson. And this is why I'm going to put this out there. I put a poll on my Instagram, right? And I put a poll on my Facebook saying, who's backing me to complete 200 miles? And it was 100% yeses on both social media platforms with thousands of people. I don't think I'll complete that challenge. And people might be like, wow, that's crazy. Why don't you think that? The reason why I don't think I'll probably complete it is because there's so many lessons to learn. I've never tried it before for once. So yes, I'm going to do my research. Yes, I've got a strategy. Yes, I'll be fit enough. Yes, I've got mental strength, but I also have zero experience of trying that. So I'm basically saying the first time I try it, I expect to succeed. And this is why so many people give up, because if you fail, it's not a failure, it's the first attempt in learning. What I do know is that if I do have to do it again, I'm almost certain that I'll succeed the second time. So why do I think that I might fail the first time? And why am I already thinking I'm going to have to go through the pain of doing this twice? Because some of the lessons I won't learn until I try. I can't prepare for the weather. I can't prepare for injuries. By the way, if there's any nurses here, apparently I need a nurse there pretty much on all 3 days from 18 miles onwards to triage my feet, because it's completely different to doing 100 miles. They have to be triaged, whatever that means. I'm guessing cut, liquid let out, plasters, taped, treated, whatever. You know, there's experienced people that are around me. Dr. Rimmer's going to be there. But again, I won't know the lessons until I try. And I'll only accept the lessons and be able to move forward if I have the self-awareness and the humility to go, oh, do you know what, I messed that up. Just like on the first 100-mile run, to have the humility and the self-awareness to go, I messed up. What lessons did I learn? Okay. Well, one, I tried to be a hero and I tried to run 5 marathons instead of 4 as a secret goal. I wrote it down and journaled it, told 2 people. So when I'd actually hit 3 marathons on about 12 and a half hours, Tom Sinclair, who was with me, was like, mate, you're going to do it. You're literally going to do 5 marathons. This is going to like blow the world apart. It's insane. You're on for 207 kilometers at this pace. 7 miles later, blew my Achilles out. So rather than boxing off the 4 marathons and being sensible and hitting the goal that was everywhere, I tried to be a hero and I burned myself out and I messed up. Lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, don't do the run starting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you've already been up since 6 o'clock in the morning. You can get up and start and try and do it in 24 hours, or you can get up and have 10 hours before and then try and do it. So you've already been up for 10 hours. Absolutely brain dead. But again, you've got to be self-awareness. That's to go, I messed up. It wasn't really a great idea doing it on the anniversary of my mum's death. Whilst it was an emotional driver, the 29th of December is a dumbass date to attempt anything like that because it was cold, wet, rainy, and gale force winds. Loads of mess ups, okay? But that's having the awareness to go, right, not, oh, I failed. Oh, I messed up. Nothing ever goes right for me. I always let everyone down. You know, we've all said that. Drop me a yes if you said that. Oh God, I always let everyone down. Nothing ever goes right for me. I always mess up. Going right into the story. Guys, bear with me 1 second. How about that for a live delivery? That is indeed 2 very large Client of the Year trophies and a very large Unbreakable Ultimate Warrior trophy for the event on the 27th. Can someone remind me what I was talking about? the lessons of the run. So we have to have this awareness to not be like, that's the difference between self-awareness and self-judgment, right? Self-judgment is I failed, I'm not good enough, I've messed up, I've let myself go, can't believe I've got back here. Self-awareness is, right, why have I ended up here? What did I learn? What lessons did I get? What mistakes did I make? How can I move forward in every single area of life? And it's about continual self-assessment. This is why journaling is so important. Am I doing what I said I would? Anyone can say that they've got honesty and integrity, but are your actions backing it up? Are you journaling? Are you doing your 31 minutes cardio every day? Are you tracking your food? Are you being present in the group? Are you asking for help when you need it? And it's continual self-assessment on an hour by hour basis, day by day, month by month, week by week, to improve. And also not being afraid to go, do you know what, actually, this ladder's up against the wrong wall. I need to change. And it's about exposing your weaknesses. It's about becoming vulnerable. It's about getting uncomfortable because you're like, oh, this is the first. If you're ever saying this is the first time I've ever admitted this to anyone, boom, that is a life-changing phrase. That is a phrase that will then take you forward. And the more people you admit whatever the terrible thing is, the more you'll realize that no one gives a fuck and they're actually just here to help you. Doesn't make you a bad person. It's awareness, not judgment. But you can do all the personal development in the world. But none of it will help you if you don't have self-awareness, because it isn't about you. Self-awareness involves removing the mask and being truly honest with yourself. And if you can't self-assess, if you can't have self-awareness, if you can't have ownership, then you'll never learn because you'll just keep making the same mistakes. So we have to recognize our strengths. We have to recognize our weaknesses. And sometimes we don't have to do this whole, what's the phrase people use, trying to push a square hole through a round block. Like if there's a team of people, or even if you're self-assessing your own life and being self-aware, well, if there's these things that I'm really weak at, like, do I actually need to be doing them, or can I delegate them to someone else? Can I focus on my strengths and get someone else to do them? You know, if my weakness is confrontation, then why am I in a job when there's a lot of confrontation? So sometimes it's a case of how can we do more of our strengths and who can help us? And how can we avoid situations that expose our weaknesses? Yes, we get stronger by exposing ourselves and going through them. But sometimes also it's a case of, you know, being sensible with this. I don't have to do something that's a weakness and is going to make me feel really uncomfortable and is going to cause me pain and is going to trigger me unless it's critically important to lead me towards the goal that I want and nobody else can do it. But in order to develop what we call this growth mindset, which is what we are working to, we must be able to highlight the mistakes. We must be able to be honest with them, because that's when we go into this theory of you didn't mess up, you learned. You didn't fail. It was the first attempt in learning. You're not a FUCK up. You're not a nightmare. You're not a disaster. It just didn't work out the first time that you tried. But this is where so many people come unstuck. And this is why I actually think it would be quite arrogant of me to be like blasting all over that, you know, I'm going to smash the 200 miles. You know, no one can stop me. No one can stop me doing the training. No one can stop me showing up. No one can stop me giving 100%. But I can't say that no one can stop me running 200 miles. I'd break my leg after like 50 miles. So when we focus on, you know, doing the work to move towards the thing, that's when we'll move forward. And I'm ready to fail once, because I already know if I fail once, it doesn't mean I'll quit, just like I didn't quit with the 100 miler until I've done it. But if we expect to succeed at every single thing on the first attempt, if we expect every relationship to be perfect, every job, every meeting, every presentation, and then if we're not, then everything's bad and we go into this judgy stage. that's when we'll not move forward and develop the growth mindset, because we need to look for what the lessons are. But this is why journaling is so key. Journaling is honest self-reflection. And it's honest self-reflection that will open the door to positive change. And if you're not self-reflecting and being honest so you can change positively, then you must surely be saying that you're just perfect, that everything in your life is perfect. And that doesn't exist. We know this. But, we also, the key for me with self-awareness is going back to a phrase that I've heard time and time and time again. And I want you guys to come to the Mindset Mastery Day absolutely loaded with questions. This is your opportunity to ask myself, Tom, and Ian Lambert any questions in the world. It's technically a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have them answered live on stage. And yes, I have a lot of pre-prepared material, but nothing will be as powerful as answering people's questions live. If they've got enough self-awareness and self-reflection to have written them down and the balls to then step forward on the day and go, this is the thing that I'm really struggling with. You don't even have to say it. You could submit them to me beforehand and have that answered live on stage, not by one, but by 3-4 people who have all got very, very high experience in, achieving a lot of life success and growth mindset development. So questions are the steering wheel of the mind in this self-reflection and in this self-awareness. So if you're sat here now, and I'd like to leave you guys with a bit practical thinking, I've heard this self-awareness and self-worth and self-love and self-doubt and everything else all comes from all comes from within, doesn't it? It's all self. These again are the questions, and I've done full training on this twice. What, why, lesson, apply. This is what self-awareness is. What happened? And it might just be something else. Snapped at work. What happened? Snapped at Logan again because he was being loud. What happened? I didn't go to the gym. What happened? Got balls deep in Dominoes and couldn't stop eating. And then I had the ice cream and I had the wedges as well. What happened? I had a really bad day mentally. Just whatever it is, what happened? Got to get clear on what happened first. Why did this happen? Why did I snap at Logan in the car yesterday? Because I was tired. That's it. What happened? I snapped at Logan. Why did this happen? Because I was tired. What lesson did I learn from it? I learned that it upsets him when I raise my voice and I get upset myself as a result of him being upset. And he says, I don't like you angry, Daddy. I want you happy all the time. So I got a great lesson. How am I going to apply this moving forwards? I'm going to make sure I get to bed a bit earlier and I don't train quite so hard. And I'm going to pull my day back a little bit so I can make sure I'm in an emotionally better place and have better energy when I pick him up from school. So that if he is being an absolute nightmare, as trust me, he was, my emotions are more under control. So I deal with it better without raising my voice and snapping. So I understand what happened. I know why it happened. I know what lesson I got. And I know how I'm going to apply this moving forwards, because we have to understand what actions we're going to take. This is where so many people get stuck in the journaling. Yes, this is what happened and why, and this is how I fix it. And, these are the lessons that I got. But then, like in Einstein's word, they go and do the same thing again. And we all do make mistakes once, but we also have to understand, once or twice is a mistake, 3 or 4 times is a decision. So, another great question to ask, how will I handle this better next time? How am I going to deal with that situation better next time? Well, I need to understand he's 5. Okay? Not 55, 45. Questions we can ask. How has your self-talk been today? How's your morning been? How have your communications with other people been today? How's your food tracking been today? How's your exercise been today? How's your energy been today? How have your emotions been today? How's your discipline been today? How's your willpower been? Now, these are all questions. How have your interactions with other people been? How have you dealt with challenge today? And then we apply them back into that same process. What happened? I ate a pizza last night. Why did this happen? because I'd not eaten all day because I didn't plan my food. I didn't eat a pizza last night, by the way, guys. Can I just clarify that? You know, what happened? Well, I ate the pizza. Why? Because I was emotionally low. Why? Because I'd had a bad night's sleep and I drank wine the night before. You know, why? Now I understand why that's happened. What lesson did I get? Well, when I drink wine, I don't sleep very well. My energy's shit. Then I get up and I'm tired, angry, reactive, and I don't plan my food. When I don't plan my food, I don't eat all day. When I don't eat all day, when I get home from work, my blood sugars are low. And when my husband says, "Do you want a pizza?" I end up just caving and saying yes because I've developed this habit of becoming a people pleaser and not sticking to what I said I would do. I have no integrity when it comes to food or wine. Ownership doesn't make you a bad person. No one died. You didn't murder anyone. Okay, what happened? I didn't do my 31 minutes of cardio today. Why did this happen? I made the decision not to do it. Okay, what lesson did I learn? Well, I made the lesson to learn that, you know, when I don't do it, I then feel like I've let myself down and I start self-judging myself. I need to change this self-judgment to self-awareness. Okay, so what lesson did I learn? I learned that it doesn't make me feel good when I'm doing my cardio. And when I did my cardio, I felt great. So how I'm going to apply this moving forwards? I'm going to make sure I get it done earlier so that when I get tired later in the day and I can't be bothered like I was yesterday when I didn't go, I'm going to already have had it done when my energy is great. So I won't need to worry about it. So always go back to that with the self-awareness. What, why, lesson, apply. But developing self-awareness and also understanding that it doesn't mean that you will never make mistakes. It just means that you're big enough to learn from the mistakes and understand what you need to apply moving forwards so you don't keep making the same mistakes. Because I think it was Einstein, wasn't it, who said that is insanity. Doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different outcome is insanity. And the quote that I love in regards to self-awareness, and the best one I've ever heard, is from Aristotle, who said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Guys, I love you all. Have an amazing day.